And they're gonna be cool with the other people because I get at the end of the day, everybody trying to get their bread, everybody's trying to work hard. There's enough money for everybody, there's enough creativity for everybody. I'm a
Oh,
little
wow.
different when it comes to this space because I just can't help but be like a real ass nigga.
Hello, 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 and welcome. Welcome all to the Black Coffee Morning Show. It is I, your host, Ty Black and Culture. If this is your first time seeing my face, hi, hello. My name is Ty Black and Culture. I make nerd and otaku culture content all across the internet because I am your nerd and otaku culture expert. And if this is not your first time seeing my face, hello. Welcome back to the madness. I am so excited to have you again. Today's Black Coffee Comics, God, that is not it. That is my podcast that's not running right now. Let me get the right branding. Today's Black Coffee Morning Show is going to be such a treat. As you guys know, I love comic books. I love art. I consider myself to be a comic book manga whore. I am a hoarder of such goods, as you can see on this side. I have been collecting comics and manga for a while, but I'm also not new to this. I've been reading manga and comics for quite a while. And there is something of the very nostalgic to me about seeing an art style that like resonated me with from when I was a kid. And I just so happened to be scrolling on TikTok one day. I'm sorry, there is a fly who is attacking me right now. When I was scrolling, doom scrolling through TikTok one day, and I just so happened to come across a live, and the art style got me. I was like, oh snap. This art feels really reminiscent. This art feels like a vibe. And as I pop into the live and the person on the other side starts talking, I get introduced to Citie. And their personality is super great. Their art is spectacular. And then I found out they have a webtoon, and I'm like, oh shit, I'm hooked. So today, guys, I have Citie with me here. If you're unfamiliar with them as a creator, they are an extremely talented artist. They currently have a webtoon right now that I'm going to hold the spoilers for you so they can talk a little bit more about it when they get on. But again, incredible artist, incredible personality. They're very much new to the game, so we're getting that new hotness before anybody else does. So you're seeing them here first. But yeah, I'm so excited to introduce them to you. So without further ado, I'm gonna stop talking and I'm gonna bring on Citie. How you doing today?
Doing good. That introduction had me cheesing real bad. I ain't never been introduced that way, but no, I'm doing real good. I'm doing good.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that you're doing well. I really try to hype people up, because I'm all about giving people their flowers while they're here, while they're new, while they're fresh.
I'm here for it. I'm here, and I'm hyped. I feel hyped.
I'm so excited. So let's just go ahead and get right into it. Like I said, you are kind of new to the scene in general, but you do have a pretty dedicated fan base. But for my followers and probably maybe people who aren't so familiar with you, let's do a little introduction. Who are you? What do you do? Like, what's going on with you?
Goodness. The open-ended questions. Let me see. So yeah, my name is Citie. You can just call me Sheezy. I just do web comics. I do web comics at the crib. Trying to get into manga, trying to start a manga as well. So you've already seen the web comic in Deviant, you should say right there. So you've already seen that on webtoons, but I'm currently trying to get into like more manga-esque, traditional manga, and like yeah, that's me. That's me. I'm just a drawer. I just be drawing. You know what I'm saying?
Just a drawer. No, I honestly think that you do a little bit more than just being a drawer. You do a little extra. And since you started, because I know that like we've talked a little bit, like you're really new to this. Can you tell us how new you are to the art scene, the way you're in it now?
So okay. So the way I'm in it now, I would say I've only been doing this for like last month would make like a year exact.
Mm.
Technically, I've been doing this since I was like 13. I was like my web comic, for example, I actually started it when I was like 13 years old, 13, 14 or something like that. And then life happened. Life happened, I had to be an adult until I was doing that for so long. The art was starting to dwindle. So there was like a good like maybe 8, 9, 10 year gap where I wasn't like really drawing. I would do it every now and again, just like, as a hobby, just for fun. Oh, I just want to do a picture. But I was really letting my, I guess, talents and stuff just go to the wayside. So it wasn't until last year when I just got like, lack of better term, I was just tired of my job. I was like, I want to do this though. I quit. So I quit my job in order to pursue this full time. One, to see like how much I could like possibly improve. I know a lot of people tell me like, oh wow, you're pretty good. You're for somebody who's kind of like out of nowhere. So it's like it's not like I really just came into the game like that. I technically got like 9, 10 years of experience in a way, but more as like a hobbyist. So I definitely have like a foundation. But yeah, as far as the past year is concerned, I pretty much said, you know what, I want to hit the ground running. I want to see what I can do. I think I've amassed like across all platforms like 20K following, which it's not it sounds slight, but like yeah, just trying to work on the comics, put people onto that, and really just improve. To be totally honest, like that was my main thing, is I just wanted to improve on the craft. So yeah, that's pretty much that's my origin story. That's my origin.
No, that is so cool. Honestly, I think it is so interesting, like how everyone has like a different like how they got started. Most creatives, we start when we young, we just truly are born bred different. But I think it is super supremely cool that you've only really been actively posting to social media for about a year and you've been able to gather such an audience. That's so amazing. And you already kind of touched on how you got started when you were 13. Can you go a little bit more into your kind of beginnings, you getting started in the craft of drawing? Like what kind of inspired you to get started?
That's a good question. So I guess realistically, I've been drawing for as long as I can remember. I still remember being like a little jit at my grandmama house. And like, oh, that boy, you know how the grandma said, that boy a drawer. She just ordained it. She said, oh, that boy, yeah, he an artist. And then from that, I just kind of just like, I just like drawing. And for the most part, I would just kind of doodle, do this, do that, which, in kindergarten, anything you put on paper is like impressive. But funny enough, sort of like how you said about me, I remember when I would, because I would habitually be online, reading stuff or, playing games and stuff like that. And one day I came across this site called Snafu Comics, where they actually they had some comics on there that super inspired my style. Because for me, I'm a 90s, listen, I'm a 90s kid. I grew up watching Powerpuff Girls, Dexter, SpongeBob. I like all the cartoons. I'm more of a cartoon. I was a cartoon dude before I was an anime manga dude, right? And
Hmm.
that's like to my core. That was very much in my core. So when I came across like this style on this website, where it had like a very like cartoon-esque style, but at the same time, mind you, at that same time when I came across that, I was just getting into like Toonami and Naruto. I was like, yo, they got other kinds of cartoons, yo. But it was like such a perfect blend that I wanted to emulate and put into my style. So that's kind of like what inspired me, like at a young age, like maybe like 10, and then I was on DeviantArt, like all the those back in those days. Don't get me started. Don't get me started. But yeah, then I went on DeviantArt. I was on there for a while. Again, I pretty much had the same mindset as a kid as I do now. As I just wanted to be like really good at the style. I wanted to like tell like some kinds of stories, but I always had more of a fascination with just kind of like drawing characters, like just character designing. Even though I'm not the best character designer. I don't think so. But like, yeah, that's more or less, that's part two of my origin story.
No, I love that so much. And I think it's so funny that you mentioned Snafu comics because I too came across Snafu comics when I was really
Hey,
young. Yes, and Powerpuff Girls D,
yes,
right, the it
yes,
was like Grim Adventures, but it was like their kids. The
yes.
that whole website is such a gem.
Oh yeah.
Um, and I think that is literally the moment I saw your character, I was like, oh my gosh, like you're definitely. I was like, I can see the influence. It's such a, but also I think that you do a really good like change of the style. I can definitely tell it's inspired, but I definitely see your other inspirations as well. Your art is absolutely like it's yours. It's but I'm so happy I came across it truthfully.
That honestly,
Um
that honestly makes me feel so good because I can't tell you how many times people are like scroll by my TikTok specifically and they'll be like, "Yo, are you the other guy?" I'm like, "No, I'm not him." I'm just very much I am very much inspired because it was just like such a perfect blend of like the two things that now as I'm older I really really love because I love anime even though I'll admit I don't get to watch it as much because I be so daggone busy. I be so busy. But
mm,
I love anime. Grew up watching Naruto, Dragon Ball Z, RP, Akira Toriyama, like
mm,
all that good stuff. Attack on Titan. But again, my core was always like cartoons. Like even with my comic, I feel like I try and have like even when I'm talking with my writer, because I have a co-writer. She kind of helps me out with the writing. And I remember the last time I talked to her when I was working on chapter 2, which is currently on the way, by the way, guys. She was
mm,
kind of really fueling me and making me feel how can I say like I was on the right track with what I wanted to do, which was just
mm.
mostly have like a fun comic, like a fun almost adventure time esque vibe to it, while still maintaining like the style that you can kind of see behind me. So yeah, that's just kind of me. So I appreciate that I'm shining through. I don't want people to think like, oh, you just that other guy. Like, nah, I want to shine through.
No, absolutely. First off, I think I'll have to talk about it a little bit later. But that other guy who inspired the style isn't that great of a person. So I'm glad that I found this style revitalized in someone who's actually pretty dope. So
Absolutely. No, you're not wrong. And I listen. That's why I was saying you said, "Oh, she knows." I was like, "Does she know it?" She
I
knows.
do know they
Listen,
had to
yeah.
break it to me in the Discord VC. I was heartbroken. I was crying tears.
Listen. That's why it is so funny because I have people ask me all the time, like, "Are y'all like?" And it's actually funny. I hope this isn't like getting too far off, but I'm
Hmm.
actually not like the only person to like really try and I feel like back in the day there were a lot more people trying to emulate the style, but
Hmm.
just recently, just last year, and this is where I was just kind of like, whatever, I'm off it. This is my own thing,
Hmm.
because I've never really had any like big interaction with a dude. Maybe like years ago, maybe like one
Okay.
conversation, maybe a commission, something like that. But there's one other artist who he emulates more closer to his style, like tries to be like dead on, doesn't really have his own creative flair to it. But hey, that's fine. I get it because the person, hey, listen, the person you're emulating, he's a good base. But I remember one time on Twitter, and I hope this isn't like a crazy story, but I
No,
remember
you're
on
good.
yeah, but I remember on Twitter, I followed the other guy as well, and he actually is close to Bro. Like those two are like tight. Which obviously in the back of my head, I'm like, I wonder how come. I don't care. I'm trying to build my own legacy. But the other guy, he is actually close to him. But one day he ended up posting something that was kind of what was it? So for those not to get all political, but
Right.
I am kind of a leftist. I'm like kind of far over far to the left. I know it looks like I'm pointing right to y'all, but I'm left.
No,
And
we get it. We get it. Free Palestine. We about it over here.
oh, hold up,
We got
hold
it over
up.
here.
Stop playing
Hey,
with me.
yes. Don't stop playing. Don't. We don't play over here.
No. But nah, I remember the other dude, and it just felt so representative. Like maybe the main guy isn't that good either. Because I remember the one who's emulating him. He ended up posting something that was kind of dicey. It was kind of racy, and I just commented
Mhm.
on it, just full blown. I don't know. I guess I was feeling like a little tussle because like especially like I don't know if all my homeboys and stuff are in the chats and everything, but like for this story right here, for the ones who know about this story coming up, Like they'll tell you this a black ass story, boy. Cause I'm a black ass nigga. I'm just trying to tell you. So I asked him, I was like, hey bro, are you racist? Bro, block me. Bro, block
Oh
me.
no! Oh
Right?
no, that sucks. But like I
I
said,
mean,
like dude is not the nicest guy in the world, so it makes sense. I'm sorry that you had to go through that. It's kind of sucks when the people that inspire you are like shitty people. But
well,
like
again, technically, it wasn't the main dude. It wasn't Bleed Man. That's the name. It wasn't him. It was
right,
one of his home skillets. Which again, as far as me and bro, we no interaction. Like he ain't blocked me or nothing like that. But it is weird to see like the ones like closest to you. I pay attention to stuff like that. Like
right.
man, I will say like in this journey, it's definitely been like climbing stairs, but like each stair is like varying size. It's like trying to get over a freaking hunch every time. But I don't know. I wouldn't say I've definitely hit that point um of people saying like, oh yeah, that's him. But I think it's because I've
Hmm.
had like a lot of interpersonal kind of interactions with people. Like for example, Surreal, like somebody like him with his huge following, we go back and forth about it all the time about how we came across each other. And I will say like people like that, they give it's kind of reaffirming. And I feel like right now that's kind of been the utmost of kind of like my journey is just kind of finding new reaffirming things. For example, like just to give you an example, like just how brand new I am. Like that banner right there, just got that banner yesterday for my very first convention I'm going to this Saturday. Actually, it's going to be at the Roanoke Valley. I don't know if anyone's from Virginia, but if you want to catch me there, I'm gonna be at the Roanoke Valley Comic Con, all that cool stuff.
Okay.
But like, yeah, so yeah, like that's to me is a milestone. But prior to that, I'll definitely say I bumped into like some other big creators. Hell, I fell out with some creators just because I feel like I'm a little different when it comes to like the space. I definitely have some mutuals who I'm still like this cool with. And you know, they're gonna be cool with the other people because I get at the end of the day, you know, everybody trying to get their bread, everybody's trying to work hard. There's enough money for everybody, there's enough creativity for everybody. But yes, Roanoke Valley. But like yeah, no, there's definitely some I fell out with. And I'm talking like big creators, but it's like I'm a
Oh
little
wow.
different when it comes to this space because I just can't help but be like a real ass nigga. I just gotta keep it real. I don't care who's who. I don't care what you're doing over here because the internet big. The internet big. I got my supporters. I got people that job with me that like what I do. And those are really my milestones right there. It's just like, yo, who like for me, I feel like the biggest milestones is when I find somebody new who kind of, you know, joins the family. Because I'm still small enough a creator where I feel like I can still have those interpersonal relationships where I can like, oh, new person comes to the live. Next thing you know, they start frequenting the live. Hey, yo, Sheezy. I'm like, yo. Second, I remember your name like a teacher. I know I gotta know. So
No, that's
so I pay more attention to that stuff more than anything. So that's just kind of me.
no, I totally get that. And I honestly I really appreciate the authenticity. I think that in a space you're so right. I think a lot of times we think of the internet as kind of like this small place just because we all kind of are in our own little echo chambers. But truthfully, the internet is so vast, so wide. And I love that you've kind of set your own success and in your own community as your benchmark for growth and your benchmark for success versus other people in the industry and other people in your field. I have to remember that as well. Sometimes you really think that you're competing against everybody, but you're always competing against yourself. So yeah, I'm totally for it. We're gonna take a quick deviation away. I love the chit chat we're having here, so I'm gonna switch up to my favorite part of the Black Coffee Morning Show. I get to ask you about your favorite foods and your favorite snacks. So, I always like to give a little backstory. So this started because in the very first one I did, I asked someone what their favorite snack was and what their favorite pizza topping was, and I got absolutely flamed because I don't like Cool Ranch Doritos. So since then, I've been bringing the question back because I like hearing what people's favorite snacks are. Oh, don't look at me like that. I just it's too many flavors. It's too many flavors. I don't know what to say.
Chat, do y'all hear this? I hope y'all still roasting her.
No, Paris, not every time he. It's too many flavors. I don't know what to say.
I was about to say you can how you hold up. You know Kendrick just came with that diss track. He said, I don't wanna hear you say nigga no more.
No, that's oh my god. They're roasting me. Hello, Imani, welcome to chat. No, it's okay. Hear me out, right? Hear me out, right? I don't have an excuse for it. I'm just saying that they're out of all the Doritos that exist in the world, right? There are, it's cool. It's cool. We just gonna move it on. Your favorite snack. What are your favorite snacks?
Cool Ranch Doritos. Cool Ranch Doritos are my favorite snack.
Not get wrecked. Oh.
No.
Chat is brutal today. Oh no, but you're good.
Honestly though, if I gotta be real, it's funny. Like my favorite, I don't know if this counts as a snack. I don't know if you was gonna like ask like candy, but I've been tearing these bad boys up recently. I have just been destroying these recently. I mean, no, hold on. Let me do a money spread real quick.
No money spread.
Wait, hold on. They still got nerds.
Snap. Oh snap! Not the nerds money spread. Not the nerds money spread. That looks good.
Hey, listen, that's probably like, and I don't know if that counts as a snack. I think candy counts as a snack, right?
Yeah, I think candy counts as a snack. No, that's fine. Okay, so nerds, I love that. Actually, I feel like a lot of time when we do, when I ask the question, a lot of people don't give candy. They often like go to like snack cakes or chips. So I actually like it. I like the switch up. And then, Goop says the ropes. Do you like the nerd ropes?
I do like the nerd ropes, but maybe it's like my slight ADHD. But it's like, how can I put this? You know how you just need something one way, then another way? It's sort of like how. Yeah. Come on. So
yes,
I like the convenience. I like the convenience of the clusters. You know what I'm saying? Just like. Because if I just got one rope just going around, slap me in the I don't want that. No.
Hey, yo, pause.
I'm just saying,
No, you're good. You catch it.
Definitely clusters, man. Convenience. I'm all about convenience. You heard?
I love that. I love that so much. And as far as like favorite pizza toppings, what would you say is like your go-to pizza toppings?
I'm basic. I really like cheese pizza, extra marinara sauce. But if I had to add a topping, I'm basic. I go with like the pepperoni. I like pepperoni, man. I know you probably got that like a million times, but
no, pepperoni's solid. Pepperoni's a solid pizza topping. I don't think you can go wrong or right with pepperoni. It's a good entry. It's solid. As far as one more question here in the off topic category, his favorite bird is owls. So Mediposa says, or maybe I got that wrong. Someone says your favorite birds is owls.
Yes, actually.
Okay. Okay.
They might not be after this Kendrick Lamar and Drake debacle, to be totally honest. But like, I think she said that because she asked me recently. She was like, "Why is it every dude's favorite bird is like a bald eagle?" And I almost said bald eagle, but I was like, that's too basic. Owl. Give me owl. OVO. You know what I'm saying? So that's probably what she said.
Owls are cool. Like, owls are just like, as like from like a character perspective of like what a bird is, owls are just like cool ass birds. So I get it.
Honestly, I wouldn't want to be near one, but yeah. I think they kind of scared of birds, so it's like I wouldn't. But if we talking aesthetic, absolutely.
we haven't had a chance to talk about your comic, and I feel like we need to go ahead and just put everything on pause to talk about your amazing web comic. So go ahead, tell me a little bit more about how you got started with this particular comic. And I always feel like I want to say it wrong, but it's in Deviant, right?
Yes, yes. You listen.
Okay. Okay, we locked it. We locked it. Okay. So tell me a little bit more about your web comic in Deviant.
Ah man, gosh, where to start with that one? So yeah, to be totally honest, in Deviants was like I said, I started it when I was like 13, like literally while I was still on DeviantArt. And it was quite literally, I think it's because I've always, whether it was online, and this holds true to as recent as this year, but
Mm.
either online or in person, like real life, I've always had like some, like I've always been the guy who's got like a billion stories to tell. Like, yo, I've been in this situation, that situation. I don't know if it's because I'm late diagnosed tizzy. You kind of retroactively look back at a lot of your interactions and be like, why am I always in weird situations? But while I was doing the art thing, which again on DeviantArt, it was definitely an introduction to like what things are now, especially in the span of kind of the realm of which I occupy, where it's like social media and art. Like having to balance the two, trying to like figure out that avenue and everything. It was definitely an introduction. I know there's plenty of other things people could say about DeviantArt back then, and you're not wrong,
Mhm.
but it was an introduction, especially for me as like a young 13-year-old. And and that was kind of the whole point of Indeviant was me just kind of looking at all my interpersonal interactions there, just my journey, which was quite literally the only thing I cared about and was locked in on, was literally just getting better. And I'll say that it was pretty much kind of like a self insert for a young black kid who just
Mm.
wanted to see a story about a young black kid in a very nonsensical situation. Because I feel like that's my life in a nutshell. That describes my life. It's just a series of just nonsensical events and just trying to make sense of it. Like hell, even when I tried coming up with the power system more or less. Because again, it was mostly in Deviant, based on Deviant art. It's a story about like artists and kind of trying to find a objective kind of like calculation to something as subjective as art, which I know is like an impossibility. That is like completely impossible. You can't really like rate art in such an objective way to where it's like, oh, my stuff looks better than yours, so I'm stronger. Or
Mm.
obviously we could collectively look at one artist and be like, yeah, this is tough. And we can all collectively look at the banana taped on a freaking wall selling for like $5 billion and being like, what the fuck? But it's like realistically, it's subjective. So it was
Right.
really good, but still, I had such a fascination with trying to like make sense of everything, like my identity, the situation I was in at the time, just everything, like from art and all this stuff, but finding it in a way where it's like still open to everybody. So
Mhm.
that was really the chore that Indeviant was for me. And
Mhm.
then obviously I kind of picked up where I left off, but as I've had such a stretch of time in between, like when I like really kind of dropped it versus
Mhm.
now, I was able to kind of recontextualize the story into something that would be even more open to people, to be more of an open expanse of the story, for
Mhm.
anybody to get into, to enjoy for what it is, to really see themselves in. That was one thing that even back then I tried to figure out when it came to the power system, was trying to find something that didn't position me in a way where it was like, oh, this is my character, this is my world, I'm the only one that matters. Like, no, like I definitely wanted to position it in a way where it's like, yo, if somebody else wanted to branch off, make their own story, because I'm not the only deviant. Hell, I know some people still use deviant, but deviant art, which is actually one thing I really like about the title. I am somebody who, at least in the last year, has really looked at like the universe in a way where it's like a lot of this stuff just kind of falls into place. And I think about
Mm.
how DeviantArt is more or less kind of like, it's kind of a dead, I don't want to say it's a dead platform, but it's gasping
Mhm.
for air. But instead of like looking at that and looking at my IP and being like, ah man, this is bad. I'm like, no, that's perfect. The story's called Indeviant. and it really helped contextualize where I wanted to go with the story as far as like the end of the story and really mapping out the entire thing. So yeah, that's kind of the origins of like where that story came from, was just essentially just being like a self-insert of a character that I ain't never seen before. Like even if you can see him right there, you can kind of see him.
Yeah, in the corner there.
You see a cute ass. You see him right there. And funny enough, I still remember like when I was first conceptualizing about it back when I lived like hours away from where I'm at now, and I was a young bull just going into like high school really. I remember there was one of the older kids and he saw my art. This was way back then before, anime was mainstream or all that stuff was considered cool. And I remember he saw my character, he saw a few pages and he was like, bro, you need to keep up with that because no one else is doing that right now. And I shit you not, at the time, and I think it kind of goes to a broader conversation of anti-blackness that even I might have had back then. Not anti-blackness per se, but like just like no, like not having that instilled confidence in like what my archetype was, because that's really what he was supposed to be, was like that identity, black boy joy. Like I didn't think nothing of it, and that's why it was such a personal project. Hell, it's still a personal project. But I remember back then he was telling me like, bro, nah, dog, you need to do that because no one else is doing that. Like, bro, you could go somewhere with that. And here I am years later, kind of reintroducing myself into the the landscape, and I'm seeing so many dope black mangaka, black webtoon artists, black this, black that, and it's like I could name it like Red F Manga. I gotta give shout outs. Red F Manga with Golden Mist Manga with Biome. Oh my god. Shout out to Ty Davis with Hustle. Inupin, even though he works on Just the Goblin, but he's a goblin, he's green, he a person of color too, right, guys? That it seemed like it's always been possible because they always say like, oh, like even I was watching an interesting, I know I'm yapping a little bit, but I was watching
no you're good.
But I was watching an interesting YouTube video about like black actors, for example, and how it seems like the industry always says like, oh, that is not going to sell overseas. Black Panther ain't going to sell overseas, and then it cracks $1 billion. Right. And then you see like all these other black stories where it's like, oh, these aren't going to do well here. And it's like they always do. And it's like sometimes I look back at it and think like, man, if I had like really been on my stuff like in the beginning, who knows? I probably could have been one of the leaders of kind of like this, like that charge. But at the same time, I'm not mad. I am not mad at all. I'm nervous. I don't think I could have handled it. But I really love to like reintroduce myself and kind of take a place in it. I feel much more comfortable taking a place in it, and just having like Sheezy be like one of those characters where it's like, okay, out of the echelon of all of them, it's like, okay, we recognize him. Like I love the ensembleness of it. It just gives like black collective in a sense, non-elitist black collective.
Yeah, no, I get you. No, I think that you actually are really hitting on a really important point. I've been hosting a conversation over the last couple of weeks on my page about bridging the gap between black people and animation, or specifically anime, and trying to figure out what that key is. And I think actually Mariposa is also saying it as well. Just there is this unique experience that specifically like neurodivergent, quirky black kids have, where you kind of have to live this duality of trying to be yourself, trying to be authentic to the things that you like, but also trying not to get excommunicated from the community. And also trying to bring other people into this really cool space, because you're like, yo, like if you can just like, don't worry about the fact that they're in high school and that the fact that it's a frog or the fact that it's like some random squid monster, like just look at the story. And I promise you it's so lit. And I love this resurgence of so many amazing black creators coming out and like really strutting their stuff, showing their artistry, reclaiming that quirkiness and like kind of refining themselves in this public space. So I'm happy to see the renaissance, truly the renaissance of black creators.
Honestly, it's so funny that you use that word specifically because I remember I was joking. I was on live like a few months ago with a couple of other like bigger black creators, you know, that are doing their own manga or got their mangas in works or stuff like that. Someone I ain't gonna say no names because I fell out with some of them because you know we're not a monolith. We can't all get along, but you know we can all work side by
Right.
side. But I remember
Mhm.
talking about like how like it's kind of surreal to me sometimes when I think how a lot of the creators I was watching last year, or technically the year before last, before I stepped into the fray, you know, I was just a casual TikToker, like casually looked on TikTok. I mean, I was doing rap music. I did music at the time, which we ain't gonna plug that. I ain't gonna plug that. Join the
I
Discord.
don't know. I don't know. You might have to drop a couple bars or something, you know?
But I remember like prior, like, and it feels like really this past year alone has really been the stretch of it. Well, the past 2 years, but I remember prior to like some of these creators coming to light, the TikTok anime space was like it felt, you know, it felt mostly, you know, palm colored. And it just felt like all the black creators just came and did their thing. I might not like all of them, but I respect the whole. You know what I'm saying? I respect the whole of it. Like I remember we were even joking on live, like saying like, "Damn, bro, we the new colonizers, yeah, we the colonizers." So like it was just like man, that's pretty much. So when you say like Renaissance, that's exactly what it feels like. It feels like these black creators are just like coming up and doing their thing, and I'm just happy to be like, you know, well, trying to be a part of it, trying to be one of the, you know, trying to be recognized. You know what I'm saying?
I am so sorry. I don't know what happened. My entire little setup crashed because she hates me.
You're good.
What
You're good.
I
I told
did
you it's not you, it's me. It's not you, it's
is
me.
it. It can't be you. I don't want to believe it. I don't want to. I don't want to blame it on you. No. Oh goodness. Oh goodness. I'm so sorry, y'all. I hopefully it didn't disconnect. Did it disconnect? I hope so. I hope not. I hope not. Okay. Just prayers for the prayers for the computer. Okay,
So
good.
you
Thank
were
you,
fine.
Paris. Thank you. Okay, cool, cool. I'm glad we didn't disconnect. I'm glad they still got to hear everything that you were saying. That means a lot. I'm glad. Whew.
Good.
Shout out to
I don't
us.
want to be. I don't want to be yapping into the ether.
No, you're good. You're good. Um, let's go ahead and pick up to another part of this conversation.
Mm.
Um, you've clearly been in the, like I said, you're in this space for a very short amount of time, but you've already had like a lot of really unique and interesting interactions. Had a lot of interactions with other folks, but specifically in this space, um, do you ever feel like you have had any struggles, like any struggles like getting your project out there, getting people to notice you, getting people to separate you from, you know, the art style itself because it is inspired, or just separating you from other black creators in the space who may also have had the same level of an inspiration?
Struggles. I definitely have had my struggles. Mostly just trying. I feel like man, what's the biggest? I don't even know where to start. I feel like struggle wise, as far as like being seen, I feel like that's just kind of par for the course. Par for the course. I remember seeing a post recently that perfectly described like how I felt, where it's like, man, I got on here to want to do art, not to try and figure out an algorithm, which
Right.
is pretty much like that. That's probably been like the biggest thing, right? Now, I will say I've that's why I take my interpersonal relationships so serious. Like people like Surreal or even like everybody else, you know, my other mutuals like from Red to like everyone else who just supports, because I feel like overall we kind of support each other, constantly liking, reposting each other, and creating our own space where we can. So it's not really all that bad. I will say, as far as like finding some exponential growth, it's few and far between. It's few and far between, especially when you don't really have like the consistent income to like push yourself on a professional level. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, to all the people aspiring, like one thing I've learned, you gotta push yourself. You gotta push yourself. You gotta actually invest in yourself. You gotta do all that cool stuff. And I feel like, I don't know. I feel like going into 2025, that's definitely going to be my year. Like the past year, 2023 into 2024, was just trying to improve, to have something that I felt was good enough to put in front of an audience. But that in and of itself might be bad advice, because I remember seeing another post saying like, yo, if the Simpsons waited to look like how they do now, would we have ever gotten the Simpsons? You know what I'm saying? So definitely I took some of that advice as well. I did. I still look at my art from last year and said, okay, I got a good foundation, but it's all getting better and growing at the same time. Now, as far as like differentiating myself from like others, I'll say this much: as far as the black space is concerned, I feel like I have no issues there. Like I feel like I have an extremely unique style compared to like everyone in the spaces that I occupy. And yeah, like I said, there might be like one in every. Oh no! Did I didn't get disconnected? Did I?
No. You're fine. You're still here.
Oh no! I'm good.
Oh no! Are you disconnected on your end? Oh, we're having.
I'm good.
Okay, good. I don't know why. That's how I told you. That's how you know that you're spitting like real fire. Is like the internet connection just starts lagging. It doesn't want to get it out there.
They don't want to hear. They don't want to hear young. They don't want to hear young King speak. Now let me stop. But like, as far as like the space is concerned, yeah, I feel like I don't really have a lot of issues differentiating. A lot of people, especially because like I always thought it was funny because as a kid growing up, especially on Snafu, I thought they were the coolest thing in the world. I thought more people knew about them. Here I am, like 10 years removed, and I don't really know about them like that. Nobody really peeped that. I guess the intersection between like cartoon and anime isn't like, and granted, maybe it is deeper. That is just one artist. That is just one person who represents it. So obviously, he's not gonna represent the whole. And I just take my inspirations where I can. And even out of the people that do make the connection, they don't really look at me any kind of way. They just be like, kind of like yourself. And even another person recently, they came into the live. They were like, "Oh my god, that used to be my comic back in the day." I'm like, "Oh, a woman of culture. I love it." So it's just like a little talking piece, especially because like I said, or like you said, pretty much, I have made this style very much my own. I've like, again, you see the kid, you see them black, come on, you see him, you see the locks on his head,
I see the melanin.
Come on, you see he got the, oh, I can't wait. You see he got the haircut we all had back in the early 2000s. What?
Just straight back, no line, no fade, no nothing, like, no taper.
I'm very detailed about it. If you like really look close at it, it is like not. It's just like it's just chopped up. But like yeah, so I don't really have a lot of issues in that regard as far as differentiating. If anything, I'll say that's probably one of my strengths, is the fact that especially in the spaces I occupy, everyone who sees my stuff, it's just like, yo, I've never seen this before. Like, oh my god, this, that, and the next. And again, I do feel kind of reaffirmed when I have like certain like bigger creators that follow me, like either Surreal. Even recently, me and him were in the DMs. He was like, "Yo, bro, so and so follow you, right?" I'm like, "Who the heck is so and so?" He worked for Marvel and DC, and I'm like, "He follow me?" I had to go look. I'm like, "Oh, he follow me." And even another dude, God, I can't remember his name, but it's like Nicholas something. I think he did a run of Static Shock, which,
yeah, Nicholas D something. I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah, like I remember like when he followed me, I was like, I made it. I did
okay,
it.
That was that I made it moment. That was that I made it moment.
Low key. It was real. Stuff like that is reaffirming to me. Stuff like that makes me feel like there's a space for me. Stuff like that makes me feel like, despite all the other difficulties, like, yo, I'm gonna keep it pushing. I'm gonna keep it going. Especially like once I am able to like start making like some real income to like put into like myself. Again, here's hoping for this convention. Like I'm able to like sell a few things. Like, hell, I got a few prints right here. You see the boy. Got my fan arts too. Gojo Satoru.
Hey, it looks so amazing.
Thank you. And I'm a fancy dude, so I like, sort of like what was the name of that one designer who worked with freaking Kanye? He passed away like a year or so ago.
Oh no. A designer that worked with Kanye.
God, he like made all the he made like the help with the Yeezys, made the Air Force, the red ones. I'm not really much of a sneakerhead, but I am a sneakerhead. But basically,
I'd have to
I
go to Google.
yeah,
But
nah,
you're
God,
good.
I wish
Go
I
ahead.
remember his
I
name.
get you. I get you.
But like people like that, other facets of the Black culture. Virgil, thank you, Virgil. Yes, Virgil Abloh, I believe. But like, yeah, people like that, other aspects of Black culture very much inspire me. So like, even when I do like my posters, like I like to do variants. Like I like to do cool little variants. You got the strongest. You got Gojo Satoru, whatever you want to do. I really like doing oh shoot. Thank you, Bella. Thank you, Bella Stuzzi. Yo, shout out to her as well, because she actually is the one who designed she's helped me out with so much. She's the one who's designed this logo, the new logo for Indeviant and God Complex. She does a lot of work. Like even my website, which you guys can check out if you want to cop some merch. I had to throw the merch on, plus I got something in the background. duforthestars.com. Like she helped me out with that. So yeah, but like, yeah, I'm very much inspired by like multiple facets of when it comes to like Black culture. And I try and infuse that in any way that I can when it comes to like my stuff. Hell, even to the leftist degree, like even with politics, like when it came to making this, I cannot figure out where to point. When it came to coming up with this story right here, like, and that's one thing I really like about this story coming up, and I can't wait to share it with you guys, because even though this story up here, I'm telling you, I'm confused, but this story up here, this story up here definitely represents like the young kind of like escapist kind of that kind of genre of storytelling. This story right here, God Complex, is like my grown-up brain. It's just my grown-up brain, how I've come to view the world, socioeconomic politics, things of that nature. Not to like a literal sense. It's still kind of escapist fantasy in a way, but the parallels I'm going for are very representative of like just how I see the world. Like I try and be extremely aware, politically aware, socially aware, all those things, and I infuse a lot of that into this work right here. So it's kind of a cool blend of like, you know, the past and the present, in my opinion. Lord knows what the future holds, but that's just what we got going on over here at Dead Universe.
No, I love that. One thing I want to draw back to that I really connected with is that earlier you said that you just said, fuck it, I'm gonna quit my job and I'm gonna go in on my art full time. What was that like for you to basically bank on yourself, to bank on your art? And how has it been now, kind of where you're from when you started to where you're at now?
Goodness gracious. When I say that was a decision, that was a hard decision made. I'll be totally honest, and this is another reason why I say shout out to Bella Stews, because she was actually the one who, when I was just sitting at my job, I joke you not, I was sitting at my job, and mind you, I had like every intention, because mind you, I think I had like lost like 2 jobs. Technically, I quit one really good job, real decent job. We all know pay in America ain't shit. It ain't shit. But I actually worked in the medical field, just as not clinical, but clerical. I was clerical registration, and it's decent. I totally recommend, if you can like talk to people for 5 minutes each. Great job, and it paid very well. But I ended up leaving that job to go to a different job, which they ended up letting me go. And you know, the previous job, oh, you quit. It's just like hiring is. I don't care what Biden says. Unemployment is not at 4% I don't give a fuck. Sorry, I'm gonna get real.
No, preach. No, talk your shit.
Conversation. But like, yeah, and I actually ended up getting another job, kind of not in the same spot that I was in, but it was like a telephone job. And I don't know, I think it was really in the beginning of like my unmasking era as well. So it was especially difficult, even despite the fact that I've done this specific job before. It wasn't the exact same, but it was just like extremely difficult to like reintegrate into that. But at the same time, I had just picked up, again, shout out to Bella Stews. She's the one who let me borrow this. Like, this is on loan. Like, I'm broke. This is on loan as far as I'm concerned. I'm gonna get it back after this. after this fucking convention. But like she really pushed me to like start drawing again. Like, yeah, just try it out. Just try it out. And so I did, that. And as I was drawing more, posting a little bit, not as frequently as I do now, because again, I was still working 9 to 5. I was just kind of like, it was just like, I felt the passion coming back. I felt like it was like flowing like water, or at least I had a whole new different base for some reason, as somebody who like was not consistent. Again, I shit you not, I felt like the universe was just kind of like throwing me the alley oop, and I was just kind of doing it. And as things were getting progressively harder at the job, I was just kind of like, you know what, man, I'm like 20. What was I at the time? 26. I'm 26 years old. I've done everything my parents have told me to do, except go to college, obviously. But
No, you good.
I've done everything. Like I've gotten a job. I've had good jobs. I've moved out the crib. I've done all those different things. And here I am at 26, now 27, and I felt like I was no closer to getting a house. I was no closer to like getting that American dream or anything like that. So considering, and I just felt like I was wasting time doing a whole lot of things that I wasn't enjoying anymore. Again, unmasking, that just brings it up like times 10. And so it really just came to a point where I was like, you know, man, I got some cool ideas. I got some talent that I can definitely work on. And it was just, yeah, I'm getting emotional. I was so scared. Like it was, I can tell you right now that another issue about it has definitely been like again, just being a black man in America and you deciding to quit your job to like go full on this. Like there ain't no space for that. There is really no real space for that. And it didn't really help that I had pretty much zero support from my parents. I remember I went to them because mind you, my parents are like well off. Me, no. My parents, they well off. Me, and I remember I tried going to them on like some real business proposition shit. And mind you, I didn't have everything figured out at the time. But because they were they were kind of so against me, like, no, you can't go this route. It's not gonna go anywhere. Like they even said some hurtful shit. I remember my dad, I always tell people what my parents said, and I always find it funny to think what they think which one was the worst. Because it's like you can tell you talking to black folk, and when you talking to like just, oh my God, he said that. But then they hear what my mom said, they're like, oh hell no. But my dad, I remember I was telling him, like, yeah, like Bella helped me out too. We were looking up all the statistics. We did our content research to really see, like, okay, what's the best case scenario if this goes well? If Webtoon pops off, commissions, all this stuff. And yeah, have I hit that best case scenario yet? Not really, but in the past couple months, promoting on TikTok. So I feel strongly I'll get to over 1,000 on Webtoon before TikTok is banned. But like at the time, I was looking at the best case scenario because I didn't have any other choice. I had already quit that job. I told them, hey guys, I need to come in. My internet's not working. Can I come to the office? They were like, yeah, you can come to the office. Bought myself enough time to drive there, drop that fucking computer off, and leave. I know they was like, so you better believe I knew they was not gonna fuck with me again, but I was prepared to make that decision. But I still remember going to my parents, trying to really come at this like professionally, like, no, this is what I want to do. I feel like I have what it takes. I feel like I'm pretty darn good. And I remember my dad told me, like, well, let's be real, son. Your drawing, you really haven't gotten that much better. You really haven't improved. Your art really isn't all that good. I was like, damn. Now my mom, she was like, oh, you still want, and this is where we go see who's where. My mom, she was like, oh, you want to do your little art? You mean that little art thing? People will hear that, they be like, not little. It's a little that
she really did say you gonna do your little art thing.
your little art thing going, like, and I gotta be real, like, not to get like too personal, but this is kind of part of the like my transition. Like I don't talk to those people anymore. I don't talk to them like that. So it's like, and so it was really tough. Really, even my friends. And I give my friends a little bit more leeway because again, they're all doing the same thing. We're all just working a job, just trying to just trying to make our own. But here, that's another thing that kind of went into my decision-making process. I'm looking at all my friends, five out of like five of them, none of them are any closer to buying a house. None of them are any closer to buying a house. Like maybe one of them, because he stays with his mom's and she actually, you know, unlike that toxic mindset of like, oh, I gotta kick you out at 18. He been at the crib since high school. And it's not a problem. It hasn't been a problem. My dad, on the other hand, he'll point to him and be like, you don't want to be like bro. You don't want to be living with your mama. Nigga, what are you talking about? Because of his mom, he's able to buy, he can leave whatever he wants at this point. Me, I did everything I was told.
And that's
the American,
I'm so sorry. Like when I mean that you were speaking to my life experience group in the chat, that's my mod. I was like, damn. I was like, Art. I was like, maybe. I was like, damn. We got similar parents. I was like, hold on. We got similar life. It's
toxic. It's toxic. There is a level, and it's all derived from like capitalism and all that stuff. But don't get me started on that. That's gonna be for the second Black Coffee interview.
Yeah, no. What I will say is, first off, if there is anybody who can relate to what you've gone through, it's this girl right here. I think also it's when you mentioned that, because you've been talking about like ADHD and unmasking, there is something that is so interesting, that transition where like life is shitty prior to you, like, you know that you're not quite fitting in, you know that things aren't quite working out, and life is a lot harder than it should be, but you're doing everything the right way, and you're just like, what the fuck, like, why is things not doing it? And I remember I had a really stable job. I'd prior to the last couple of years, I'd always had a stable job. I was at my first job for like 3-4 years. The next job I got, I'd been there for 3-4 years. And there were just days where I would walk in and I'd be like, I don't want to fucking be here. And I would sit and look at the computer screen and I'd be like, I want to end it all. And then I'm tired of doing this. I'm tired of this, Grandpa.
Like you looking at your older coworkers, like you've been here for 30 years.
You've been here, what, 12 years? Ain't no fucking way. And you're just, it's almost like internally you just snap. And then finally, I think a year after the pandemic, I end up I left a job and I was just struggling to hold down employment. And finally, I'm very blessed to have a very good support system. My support system, even though they're a little shaky about it, they said, go ahead. And I think, one, my heart goes out to you that you're like, I'm glad that you had a good friend. Shout out to your friends that held you down, because it is so important transitioning from your old self to your unmasked, ADHD brain, your creative self, and having people who really are like, I see the you in you that you are, and I see the greatness that you can be. It's such an important moment. And I'm so happy that, like, I'm proud of you. I feel like, I know we just met, but I'm proud of you for the transition that you're making and where you're at right now. It's a tough cookie, but you're baking it. You're baking all those cookies and you're doing an amazing job.
I'm trying. All I can say, like, just kind of like close it, is like, it's definitely, it's to this day is just a tough thing. That's why I keep saying, like, here's hoping for this convention and many more, because I have confidence. That's one thing, is I do have confidence. Like, I can go to like any convention, probably turn a profit, and like really start turning things around, because really that's always been the hard part. Like, because commissions, that's hard to find. Commissions, those are hard to come by. Patreons, those are hard to come by. By the way, for anyone who has read Indeviant, not first 9 pages in counting, we're gonna keep going, are on Patreon of chapter 2, or on Patreon right now. Just a little, little cookies for you. But like, yeah, all those things is so hard, but it's like, I can't get mad at it, because I get it. I look at America, I look at where we are globally, and everything's fucking expensive. So I feel like even now, in this particular point in time, it's probably one of the hardest times. Like, I constantly look back and think to myself, like, man, because I've been doing this since I was 13. I was still kind of dropping pages through like till I was like 22, I think 22, 23 years before I was like, okay, let me live life. And because I got my job, I got this,
Mhm.
things are settled right now. So let me just live life until, that didn't work for very long. But like, I constantly think back, like, what if at 13, 14, hell, 18, instead of going to the military, I said, you know what? I don't want to do that. I want to do this. I want to do this. Like back when my credit was better, where I could have like done certain different business practices prior to
Mhm.
like my, living life and dealing with family in a way that unfortunately will affect you financially. And God forbid you tell them that. Well, it's not you. It's not my fault. You didn't have to. Like, man, I hate you.
No, I get it. I get
But
it.
but it's like I constantly do look back and think like, man. But at the same time, I'm constantly complaining, like say to Bella, and I'll be like, yo, 10 years, 10 years. If only I just did this 10 years ago at 17 or some shit. But now I'm to the point now, it's like, well, I hate to be 37 and saying, like, damn, I wish I had started 10 years ago. So that's
Right.
one thing.
No.
Because I still feel young, I still feel spry. I'm not about to go out like some of these other mangaka, like RIP to the goats, but I still got it in me, and I got a lot of energy. I got a lot of ideas. I got a lot of
Yeah.
people who supplement me in great ways. So it's not all bleak. I do say sometimes, like when other people tell me they like some of the other mangaka I've talked to, like, yo, who here got the craziest origin story? I'm like, boy, if I told y'all half of it, y'all would be asking me.
Hmm.
Like,
Yep.
and I would
No,
tell you,
no. Preach,
I
preach.
no, I'm not.
It's a sermon. Truly preach.
I'm saying, but like it is so. But that's why I feel like though it's a double edged, no, not a double edged sword. It's like a blessing and a curse in a way, where
Mhm.
it's like I feel like especially because I can tell you right now, one of the biggest hitches that have, or one of the biggest kind of like monkey wrenches in my year as far as like transitioning, especially as somebody who's extremely socially conscious, and one thing I definitely had to fight through was ever since October 7th, ever since that, again, not to
Mm.
get political, but ever since that came, on top of like just like dealing with like familial things, dealing with like trying to figure it out, not being able to find any employment. Because at one point I was genuinely just looking for a job. Maybe I could find something small to do just to
Right.
supplement the thing and everything. But then when that hit, and you just constantly seeing all the horrible things that happen, that really jacked me up. And I felt like that threw a monkey wrench into like what I was trying to do, what I wanted to do, because I was so
Right.
focused on what was going on over here.
Everything
Again,
else. No, that makes
stop
so much
playing with
sense.
me. That I keep trying to tell, stop playing with me. But
Absolutely.
then and I think that's honestly another reason why I just use that as fuel for like a story like this, like the
Mm.
themes that go into like this story as opposed to like the super escapist story. I just use it all as fuel. And as horrible as the world has been, I feel like that has, maybe for better or worse, I'm not saying this like it's a good thing per se, but I feel
Mhm.
like that has kept my head so into this tablet. Because it's like sometimes I just don't want to look up. Sometimes I don't want to think about family stuff. I don't want to think about what's going on here with like interpersonal relationships in my real life. Like
Right.
I found myself being a lot more like into this space, like surreal, somebody who I met through TikTok. I can honestly say that boy is one of my bestest friends. He is probably one of my bestest friends
Oh.
I have met throughout this journey. When I meet that big, I meet that nigga like it was like August or some shit. I think it was like August, September. And it's like now I just can't imagine life without people like him. And that's because I have
Mm.
my head very much into this, just getting better, doing better, improving my craft, catching the eye of people like him, people like you. So it's like it's like I'm taking that genuineness and just reallocating it and really keeping it into my art more than anything. Because I'm telling you, like, oh, girl, if there was a political thing, I look.
Hey, listen, we don't listen. We might have to take a moment to talk about it for certain. I do quickly because I know that you had your comic in Deviant, but I didn't know about God Complex. Do you mind telling me a little bit like about God Complex since we're here?
Man, yes. Oh man, I wish my boy was up here. He's a way better speaker. I give the worst, most ghetto synopsis of any story. Like when we're in the lab, oh, when you're reading it, oh yeah, this guy's got it figured out. Hey, tell us about it. Oh, you know, it's about a nigga who did this, did that. but
Hey,
but
listen, I'm here. We'll decipher it together.
we'll figure it out for real. But when it comes to God complex, LOL, actually surreal. He said something real funny that I think really reflects it. It's very much a therapy. It's much like how Indeviant was like therapy for my kid self. I look at God complex like it's therapy for my adult self. It's really, to give like a brief synopsis, it takes place in an unknown. I can't say too much. I'm trying not to spoil it because I will. I shit you not. I will cover you.
Okay. I would say instead of spoiling it, because I definitely don't want to spoil it. When can we read, or where will God Complex be available?
So my goal is to have that joint up by December 25th. I want to have at least a volume's worth of the manga done by December 25th, which I feel like it's kind of like, I try and think about this shit meta in a meta way as well. It kind of fits into the themes. Because one thing about this comic, or at least what it started off as, was definitely a deconstruction of, say, like religion, for example. Like I come from, and maybe this is something else y'all might be able to relate to, but I came from one of those super religious, Bible thumping mama, like household, grandma, all that, like church every Sunday. Tried to get me on Wednesday, but you know, I threw just enough of a fit. I don't like yeah, like especially on them summer breaks, like I don't know how to do it. And then it's like, fine, boy, but you go on Sunday. But I can honestly say God Complex is definitely looking at religion in a way. It's looking at religion, politics, and all like social things through a different lens. You'll notice, for example, it was funny. I was talking to my boy Surreal, who has helped me with quite literally like 50% of this story. Like what it was prior to me meeting him. It was like it was good before, but now it's just like I have so much confidence in this story.
Okay.
Like the same way I have confidence in my like just physical work, I have confidence in the story. Same way I have confidence in Wrong Hand and in Deviant, I have confidence in God Complex. And it again, it's really just like how I've been able to in my adult life address my deconstruction from religion. I guess you could say I'm agnostic. It does touch on like other things like my interests as well, like you know, UFO, what's it called, ufology, like aliens. Like I'm very much into like aliens and stuff. Like that's a big thing, honestly. Like you'll see that in both stories. You'll definitely see some crossover, not crossover, but some similar motifs in both stories, while still being so extremely different. Like this one also is kind of like black. It's supposed to be kind of like African fantasy in a way, but I don't try and pump fake it like some people. I'm not going to talk about other creatives, but I don't pump fake it in a way where it's coming from the perspective of like an African person, but an African American perspective. If anything, it's kind of looking at like a culture of like, okay, what if things like, you know, slave trade never happened type shit. It actually goes way deeper than that. I'm not gonna go deeper, but it goes way deeper.
I don't want Surreal to get mad at me because I feel like Surreal's like, don't you dare say nothing, don't you say nothing. So for the sake of,
I try to tell him sometimes he be on live just yapping like, wait, let me stop. I'm playing Surreal. But like, no, it definitely takes place in a world. That's the escapist part of it, where it's like it takes place in a world where you really aren't dealing with it. It's funny how it still addresses certain things that we deal with in the real world, but it definitely strips a certain element from those issues. Just because it's like, I feel like there's too many stories. There's too many stories that, at least in mainstream, I will say, at least in the Black mangaka space, I feel like a lot of them kind of do a similar thing where we're not really tackling things from the perspective of oppression, of our oppression. Is there oppression in a story like this? Yes, but that's the fantasy element that I think allows people to disconnect from the real world while still being able to draw your own comparisons. Like sort of like what you were saying earlier, to call back to what you were saying about like what is that thing that can bridge the gap between like Black people and anime, specifically anime inspired, kind of like that whole kind of thing. Not just animation as a whole, but anime, manga, that space. And I had an answer for you right then and there, and it's Black people. It's Black people. They're the ones that need to gap that space to make those, to like make those stories, to come at it. And granted, because I feel like there's room for all kinds of story. For example, I know they were talking about like Todd Davis. His story is basically just like My Hero Academia but Black. I don't think there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think there's not. It takes place in Memphis. That's cool. I'm not mad at that. There are other stories that kind of come, try to be Black stories, but it feels like you're just appropriating yourself, because you can. I feel like you can appropriate yourself. I don't care what some of these other like you can appropriate your Blackness. I mean, word to Kendrick and Drake type shit, but like I'm serious. Yo, for those who didn't hear that fucking diss track, Kendrick won. I'm just gonna say, me and
not Kendrick won.
I'm just saying, me and my boy Surreal been arguing about it. Kendrick won. I mean, he was on the side. I was Drake. I mean, on Drake's side.
I'm not gonna say anything other than, you're allowed to have an opinion, but if you didn't side with Kendrick, your opinion would be wrong.
Talk to her. But like I said, but back to the main thing, I feel like you can appropriate your own culture. You absolutely can. And I've definitely seen that as well. I'm not going to critique those guys, but I can say for myself, it's always going to be like, yo, not to sound like those guys, like those Twitter motherfuckers who be like, oh, if you don't like it, make your own. Like, well, fuck it. I will do that, because I have educated myself to the best of my ability. Hell, Surreal has been a huge source of education, despite the fact I'm trying to say this inappropriate. That's my Muslim brother. He is on the lighter side.
Not on the lighter side.
But when I say the assistance that he has helped me with when it came to this story, because he actually has studied so much about like actually studied African culture, books, like went to schooling for it. So I feel like I'm pretty learned. I'm pretty learned in a way, but I still keep it real. I'm African American. I'm a nigga. I'm part of this brand of the culture. For those who say that African Americans don't have culture, like 𝚑𝚎𝚑𝚑𝚑, motherfuckers like him, like that's bullshit. That's bullshit.
Right.
Y'all all pull from our so that's bullshit. But despite the fact I'm coming at this story from the perspective of it being very Afrocentric, I do still want to put an element of like, the motherland into that shit. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So some of the references from the names, because you'll hear like biblical names, you'll hear African names, mythologies, hell, a little bit even Egypt. We even get a little Egyptian in there. It's like, like all that. It's such a perfect mix of a story. So if you like things like sci-fi, fantasy, African culture, like pretty well handled African culture, or African American culture, because again, I do not pump fake and say like, oh, I'm the guy to tell stories from an African, from the continent African perspective. I'm not. I make it abundantly clear, especially when I say the forefront or the base of the story was initially just religious deconstruction. Like hell, there's another creator I really want to plug. His name is Ink for Saints. He has I don't know if you've heard of him, but he has his own upcoming manga, which is a Christian manga, like a full-blown Christian manga. And I don't know if you'll ever see this, but I'm so interested to read his manga, because he is a true blue Christian. He's hit me up before, like on the most genuine Christian stuff. Now, me, I might have my critiques of Christianity and even Christians as a whole, but I do still appreciate genuineness. I appreciate the hell out of that. I don't care what perspective you come from. You can praise Allah, God, Buddha. I don't care, so long as it's not like on that supremacist mindset or that that elitist bullshit, or how you say evangelical. I could go on. then it's like there's a space for it everywhere. Martin Luther King, he was a Christian. Goddamn. Fucking Malcolm X, I'm pretty sure he was Muslim, right? I'm pretty sure. My history fucked up right now, but I'm just speaking. But it like so there's a place for all of these things, but I feel like now it's so bastardized that like I understand why more people, especially like myself, are deconstructing. And that's why, like, especially when I found out about him, he was definitely another inspiration for this story. Cause it's like, oh, I would love to see a Christian manga through the perspective of a Christian, and then juxtapose that with my, because you could kind of basically call this a Christian manga in a way, but it's a it's a deconstructed.
It's from like the experiences. I understand. Okay.
I got yapping a little bit.
No. You're good. I'm so incredibly excited to read. I'm so sorry. My brain just high key short circuited to read God Complex when it comes out. And you said in December of this year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Where are we shifting? Yes. So we're going into the last leg of the interview here. This is where we get to all the good juicy stuff. Not that everything else wasn't juicy. So we talked about all of your projects that you've had so far. We've talked about a lot of your different inspirations. Is there anything right now that you're currently enjoying or reading that you would say is really giving you some inspiration?
I ain't gonna lie. I recently just read this. read
Don Da Don is so good.
And here's the thing. I hate to say it, but I don't really. I mean, I guess I read more online. Because again, poverty, broke, can't afford to buy a lot. But I have bought a few recently, just for like referencing, just for practicing. Because again, coming from a more webtoon style, people need to understand manga is truly its own art form that you gotta like conform to. So I definitely am starting my little collection. I'm starting a little collection. I wanted to get the original, especially because I love JJK. I freaking love JJK. JJK and what do you call it? Chainsaw Man are probably the two biggest inspirations for, like, say for example, God Complex. Hunter x Hunter more so inspired Deviant a little bit more. But it's so just so you gotta see where my inspirations come from. I do love some My Hero. Oftentimes people tell me my style looks kind of similar to My Hero, so I definitely want to like learn from that as well. But yeah, I recently read this, which the way that it like goes into, or at least this first volume, how it kind of goes into like this the spiritual entities like ghosts and poltergeists and the UFO and like UFO aliens, and how it kind of implies just in the first volume that there might be some kind of strenuous connection. I'm like, yo, that's dope, because that's like some shit I believe in real life. I really do believe in like the. I mean, obviously they already like confirmed aliens and UFOs like in those hearings from last year. But it's like whenever you talk to people about this stuff, they still look at you crazy. They still will look at you crazy. I can be a little conspiracy-ish. And I definitely like to put that into my work. I'm chopping it back. But like, yeah, those are just a few mangas that I've been reading. I'm trying to collect more. I want to collect more indie mangas, to be totally honest, like really learn from my peers and whatnot. Again, I'm just going, I'm sorry, I gotta show love. I always gotta show love.
No, please do.
Y'all need to keep an eye out for Red F manga. I'm telling you, he still owe me. Matter of fact, he still owe. I hope you see this. He owe me the first volume, but that's neither here nor there. But Red F manga, freaking with not God, Golden Mist, Mist manga with Biome, really good. Probably one of the best written ones in my opinion. Freaking Inu Pen with either his webtoon or Cave King. Those are just a few that I am like looking forward to like reading and owning volumes of. But like, yeah, those are just a few that I read. Like I said, I don't read too much, especially in the past year, because I've just been so locked in. Like, I feel like I've missed so many like shows, cartoons, freaking. I don't really watch Marvel anymore. We boycott them anyway, so there's that. But I still,
you're right.
No, but I would still, what do you call it? What do you call it when you get it for free?
We're not gonna say that word. I'm not gonna say that word. But you're right. Okay, we like getting stuff for free.
Oh, but yeah, those are definitely some inspirations. I pull from everything though. Surprisingly, I do pull a lot from like real life shows as well. Like
okay,
maybe weird kind of inspo for a lot of not a lot of my stories, but I like the pacing. I like the way that they tackle these things. But like Breaking Bad, I really like Breaking Bad. The Boys, oh my god,
The Boys is is an amazing show. Such an amazing show.
When I say I would go on and on and on about that show, and the way that show, it's almost scary. It's almost scary how that show kind of did some things that when you look at the political landscape now, obviously I feel like it was kind of following the political landscape as is, pretty to the T. Like there's definitely parallels between like a Homelander, no spoilers, but Homelander and Donald Trump and where they're going, like with this next season, just with the promotion, it's like crazy. But like even with the AOC kind of stand-in, like to find out she was like, oh, she's just a bad politician. And then you juxtapose that with like AOC in real life, and it's like, oh, I mean, I can see why they would do that. That's an interesting twist. But then you see all this Palestine stuff going on. It's like, oh no, they predicted it. They got the I know there were people that didn't like her. That didn't like her before, but those are mostly like the incels, the conservatives. Oh, a woman, but it's like they're all politicians. They're all politicians. They're all bad. I don't care.
No. Say that shit out loud. No, you're good.
But nah, that's it. Like stuff like that, like being able to pull from real life stuff. Like again, that's big inspo for like this story right here. But like, yeah, I just try to pull from everything. I try to be open and inspired by everything I can consume when I get a chance to consume it.
I love that. As far as last kind of off-topic question I'm going to ask you, if you had a magic it's going to tie into two. So if you had a magic ability or a superhuman ability, what would it be?
I'm trying to think about this practically, and then I'm thinking about this like ooh, if I wanted to like quit doing art and just be a superhero. So practically speaking, I wish I could just daggone take what was in my brain and put it on paper. Like just boom, 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 boom. Oh, we got a whole volume here. Here's your free copy. Here's your free copy. It didn't cost no time. Like, I would love to do that. So maybe like on some Adam Eve type thing. Like that would be hard.
That would be very cool.
Like people like slight spoiler. I don't care what anyone says. She probably is the strongest. She's going to be the strongest in Invincible.
So incredibly powerful. So incredibly powerful.
Just saying.
Okay. And then for your non-practical one.
Non-practical? Oh, goodness gracious. I'm gonna be real. I'll probably be the leftist Homelander. I would probably be the leftist Homelander. We gonna make some changes around here.
How we gonna make some changes around here? Got to clean up house. It's looking a little dusty.
I'm just saying, like, I was a couple pop. Nah, let me stop. I ain't gonna say that because they're gonna come for us. But like, nah, I don't know. It's a little basic. Well, nah, that might be that's a cop-out answer. I'm gonna give you a real answer. Teleportation would be my, if I could only have one power, and that's mostly just because I love Nightcrawler. There was one of my favorite like kind of off-brand superhero movies, because there's a few, like the one Michael B. Jordan was in where they had telekinesis. And there was another one called what was it called? It was the same dude who played Anakin. He was the main character. What was it called?
Are you talking of?
It had Samuel L. Jackson in it.
Samuel L. Jackson. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe we're not talking about the same movie.
Basically, it was this dude. He could just teleport. He could just teleport everywhere.
You talking about Looper? I don't think that was Samuel L. Jackson. That was you're thinking about the other old black guy. Oh my god, I feel so terrible. Not Morris Fishburne. Just going through old black actors now. Morgan Freeman. Freeman, right?
Okay,
It
no,
was
so it wasn't Looper. It might have been similar to Looper, but nah, I got
Jumper.
with
Yes, Surreal. I think
Jumper.
Jumper.
Yes,
That's it. It had
Jumper. Now that
Morgan Freeman in it.
it was it was Samuel Jackson. Samuel Jackson was the dude in Jumper.
Was
He
it?
played
I
the
thought it was.
yeah.
I thought it was Morgan Freeman. Okay, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just wrong.
Listen,
It's cool. It's cool.
now I know a little. I got a little movie trivia about me, but nah, I really love that movie so much. Like I really loved, like again, Nightcrawler from the X-Men 2 or X2, I guess. Freaking the cartoon X-Men Evolution,
Mhm.
and then Jumper. I just always thought teleportation. I'm like, yo, he said, damn, now she now she racist. Now she dead right.
Just because I said all the old black men that are actors, like, give me a break. My brain only
There's
holds
only
so
a
much.
handful. There's only a handful.
There's only a handful. I was gonna hit him regardless. At least I knew who I was talking about.
No,
Like,
you're good. You're good. You're good. They all look the same, right? No.
oh no, stop. Oh my goodness. I'm not gonna let y'all gaslight me. No, I'm gonna move on like I did last time. As a creative, what would you say is your creative superpower? I stole this question from author Montrez. Shout out to you.
Ooh, my creative superpower. Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know. I don't know. A creative super. I feel like unique in a way. I feel like that's so I can like you put me in a crowd, you put my characters in a crowd, they get like separated real. You could like point them out immediately.
Mm,
Um dang. I feel like my interpretation, like the way I'm able to like, for example, I work with Surreal a lot. Like
mm,
he has made like maybe 80 let me not even downplay him. He probably made like 90% of the character designs that I make for like God Complex.
mm,
Um and that's one thing about me where I actually feel like I cheat a little bit. I feel like I cheat a little bit because with Deviant, a lot of the characters in that story are actually people or based on other characters that I knew back then. Like if you
mm,
read the first chapter, if you've seen Electronic Music's Bleed Kid, or Xene, if these names ring a bell, those are all real people. And all of their designs are just stuff that I incorporated into the story and interpreted. And I feel like that's why me and Surreal work so well because all he does is make character designs. And I swear he adds that extra. If anything, he's my superpower. That motherfucker right there is my superpower. Like,
the power of friendship. Love that.
but like, nah, like I feel like the way he's able to infuse, like, because again, this is why I can't just work with nobody now. The way he's able to
Mm,
infuse like certain elements that clearly have a sense of like hours of research. Like, hell, before you even hear their name, you could look at their design and be like, oh, I can see where he's pulling from. And it allows me a chance to like translate that. Like, I don't think I've had a design that I've translated from him that I haven't liked yet. Like,
mm.
either in his style or mine. And that's saying a lot because I be scrutinizing the shit out of my shit. Like, y'all only really see the really good looking stuff. So many times it was like, I don't know how to draw. I forgot how to do this.
I understand.
But like, yeah, nah. You know what? That's my answer. I'm clocking it in. Surreal is my superpower. That brother is my superpower as far as like my whole creative process. It just pushes me forward. And I think with people like him, like put me up against your favorite indie. I'm better. So long as he behind me.
Love that. This is the part of our because we're heading up on the last hour of the show here. If you guys have any questions that are in the chat and you want to ask them, please drop them in the Twitch chat below so that we can get those questions asked. While we are getting some questions, I'm going to pull up some moments from our chat that have already happened. Goop says the Meister and the weapon.
That's hard. I'm going to draw that. Surreal. I hope you in here. I'm going to draw that. That's hard.
Paris said that I can't say nigga no more, apparently.
We don't want to hear you say
Please say
nigga no
no
more.
more.
I gotta be real between between the sour chips and the Morgan Freeman.
Oh no. Listen, it's not that they're sour. It's just there's a lot of flavor. And I like, I like some simplistic like vibes, you know? I feel like out of all the other Doritos, okay, this is okay. No, don't get out of here. Get out of here. Shout out to shout out to Are You Hero? They're an amazing artist as well. But first off, it's not that they're sour, okay? So they are a little sour. But here, let me just break this down, okay? It's not that I don't like Doritos. And it's a common misconception. I do like Doritos. My favorite Doritos are the Thai sweet chili. Those are first, a purple bag. Then there's the nacho cheese, the classic bag. And then there's what's the other Dorito flavor I like? Then there's like an international flavor that I like. Okay, it's just the Cool Ranch. It's just like it's ranchy and it's kind of like vinegary. I don't know.
I'm gonna get a bag today. I'm gonna get a bag today just because you mentioned it. But you're good. You're good. You ain't gotta explain it to me.
Listen, I'm really defending myself in chat because the chat is just like they're being so mean to me.
Go. Hello.
Not you letting this clown run rampant is wild.
Oh man, that's hilarious.
Oh goodness. The question was asked. Let me pop up this question here. Give me one second. Let me scroll back. Got to scroll through all the haterade in here. What's your favorite OC you've ever made?
He said, "Don't say Sheezy." LOL. Oh man. That's a. You know what? That's a good question, but I think it's kind of easy. I really like Sin. I really like the character for the manga coming up. I really like him as a character just because he represents so much. Like if Sheezy was basically like my stand-in, just like most people. I feel like when they make their stories, it's just kind of like, oh, it's a self-insert, and I fully admit that when it comes to Sheezy. Like that's why Sheezy Citie. That's kind of the name. But when it comes to Sin, he's far less. Even though there are so many things about him, because I feel like you can't have a character that doesn't have a bit of yourself in it. But when I think of his outward, what's the word I'm looking for? Inspirations. His outward inspirations. He was very much based on my little brother, who I feel like is a bit of a little. He's kind of a little me, or he was a little bit. He's kind of crazy now, but I used to be crazy at his age too, so I can't say I don't identify. But it's like being so far removed from that, and I like, heck, man, if I could show y'all the original design. He looked way crazier. He looks calm now. He got the calm little fit. But I just like him because when he was inspired by my little brother, he was inspired a little bit by Kurapika. I really love Hunter x Hunter. And even though I wouldn't say Kurapika he might be my favorite now. He wasn't at first. I really liked his story, his lore a little bit. And a little bit of that went into the inspiration, hence why he wears blue. Also because I wanted to differentiate him from another character who wears red. But and the third big inspiration for this character was actually 𝚕𝚎𝚒𝚐𝚐. Controversial as he may be, I will say, like, his impact, culturally speaking, was always, especially when it comes to music, I think it cannot be denied. And it's also somewhat related to the fact that he's based on my little brother as well, because again, I'm older. I'm a little older. When X was doing his thing, I was older. I just felt older. I guess I wasn't that much older, but I felt older. I was listening to other stuff. I like R&B back then and now. I really loved X's music, the emotion, kind of like what he was more his metamorphosis as well, from going from this hyper like just admittedly a bad person, but I even have my own commentary when it comes to say for example cancel culture. One interesting thing I always thought was funny about cancel culture is cancel culture, it only ever affects Black people. Black people are the only ones that really get hit. with like true cancel culture in a way. Like white people are more or less marginally kind of unaffected for the most part. Like if you look at influencers, what are they? They disappear off the scene for a little bit. They come back like 6 months later with an apology video. Their core fans love them. Like we can scrutinize ourselves, black people, even when it comes to other black people, we tend to like scrutinize ourselves, or we tend to uphold people who might not be deserving of it. It seems like there's really no in between. But I will say when it comes to like X, which is why I fully understand like the criticisms behind him, you can't say he wasn't at least going through a growth. You can't say that he wasn't transitioning. And I think that's one thing that makes his death that's gonna always like echo like for years to come in hip hop history. And again, you can kind of see his design with like the white locks. That's kind of honestly before I even came up with like the concept of why he has white hair and why you'll see other characters with white hair. I just knew I wanted him to have like a similar look. Even the scars on the face kind of represent more or less like face tats, or it's supposed to be, representative. Like again, I pull from American culture, yo. Like we're very known for the face tats, but again, you could even argue like scarification, even in Africa, it's kind of like a blend in that regard. So like, yeah, I think as far as like me putting my own think pieces, my own what I like, my interest into a character, that's why Sin might be my fave. He might be my fave, partly because Surreal has designed, like, even though conceptually I've came up with just as many characters as he has, he overhauls on the design department. He does his thing on the design department. But this guy right here, he's very personal to me. He's based on like again family, my favorite manga or anime, Hunter x Hunter, and one of my favorite musicians, being 𝚑𝚑𝚒𝚐𝚐𝚐𝚐 because I loved his music. So yeah, long and short, I know I keep yapping. I can't stop from going on tangents. But like, yeah, I gotta say, it's definitely Sin. It's definitely Sin. That's my boy. It's my son. Oh no, she froze up again. Hold up. I'm reading some of the comments. It ain't looking good for you, homie. LOL. Don't mind me, guys. I'm reading up on everything. She keeps freezing on me.
I keep disappearing because my I keep disappearing. I don't know what happened. I disappeared. But I'm back, and I came back in time to ask another question. Unfortunately, I can't pop it up on the screen. She had to kill the old her to return. Yep. It's it's just what you got to do sometimes. Paris06 asks, what's some advice that you would give to upcoming creators?
Oh, y'all not gonna like my advice. I'm gonna be real. Y'all not gonna like my advice, but I'm gonna say, oh my gosh, and I really hope y'all take this to heart. Just do it. Like, honest to God, just do it. I don't want to hit people with like the figure it out type thing. I feel like that's the type of shit that I got like from like my parents and stuff, like, or even like when I talk to my friends. I remember I was having a conversation last year. We were all hanging out for one of my boys' birthday, and they were kind of scrutinizing me about like quitting my job and saying like, bro, this not sustainable, da 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 da. And then they ended up bringing up another friend of mine, a friend who I actually used to like work with. Well, we never really made music together per se, but we were both musicians. Like I said, I used to do rap. He still does do rap, but he doesn't really have a lot of time to do music because he's pulling in 80 hours at the job I met him at, right? And that's one thing when it comes, and I could get into another tangent about capitalism, but I'm not going to get too deep into it. But I will say that that's one of the things about it that is it's draining of creatives. And the worst part about it, at least during that conversation I learned, is that people don't care. They don't want to look at it past the surface, because they ended up bringing him up saying like, well, you notice bro, he's not doing anything music wise. Like he's clearly not hungry enough. And as a creative, I resent that. I resent that so badly, because it's like, hungry? I think he's hungry. I think he's trying to survive, bro. Pulling in 80. Who's doing 80 hours a week? Maybe 80s and maybe like maybe not 80.
80 hours a week is brutal, but like I understand what you're saying.
I say like 70 somewhere in that ballpark of just like that much, and like having the time to like do what you want to do after the fact. Especially when it comes to like music, I can say like I draw a lot of comparisons from my time doing music to my time now doing art, and there are a lot of parallels, I feel like. And I can tell you, in both, as someone who's done both, it's time consuming. That's something you want to commit to. And I low key took it as disrespect on behest of bro when people say like, oh, he's just not hungry enough. If you really hungry, you can do your job and this. And I try to be living proof of like, that's bullshit. Quit your job, nigga. Nigga, quit your job. Like, I'm not telling you quit your job.
I'm not telling you to quit your job, but maybe just quit your job.
I hate to say
I get you. I get you. I get you.
It's especially if you don't really have like a net or like a support system or something, then yeah, I get it. It's risky. And like I said, when I first started doing this stuff, I was still working. I if anything, it wasn't so much this was becoming too time consuming and I decided to quit my job. It was more so I just got tired of my job. And that extra time allotted, I tell people all the time, I work more hours now doing this shit independently. He said, hurry, quit my job. But I put more time into this independently than I ever did working a job, because I'd be damned if I did more than 40 half the time. I'd be dead. Like maybe
start at 9, clock out at 5. That is it.
And me, I'm not even a morning person. I was working like some decent hours, 3 to 11. That, you know, that's cool. I ain't dealing with people like that. But it's like, honestly, that's why my biggest advice, I don't care where you are with it, just do it. This same comic right here, this same comic in Deviant was literally, I started it when I was 13. You can go to the webtoon right now and you can see the transition from where it started and where it is now. And hell, chapter 2 is going to look way better. But, and that's one thing when I look at my whole process, even though I will constantly look back and be like, damn, man, I went like 2 years between posting this page and this page, or I went 3-4 years, collectively maybe 10 years, but I always found myself doing it. I always found myself, even, no matter how dispersed it was. And I look at like how I was able to actually finish my first chapter, the whole first chapter last year. And despite the fact I look back like, damn, all that time wasted, I still look back at it gratefully and be like, damn, I'm glad I never quit. I'm glad I didn't have to start from square one. I'm glad especially because, you know, I'm actually happy with how it looked, especially if you think of the concept of the whole comic. It's about a young Black kid who just wants to be really good at art. He wants to be, he states his purpose in the first like page or two. I just want to be one of the best, not the best, not this, not that, you know, so it's still open-ended. And I knew I wanted it to be open-ended because I knew it was going to be a long running kind of like more than likely page by page thing, but now I'm trying to do chapter by chapter. But it's like I left it open enough to where now older me can pick up the baton, a lot more learned, a lot more vision for the future, knowing what I want to do. And I'm just looking at young 13-year-old, 14, 15, 17, 20-year-old me like, thank you, bro. I'm looking at young me like, thank you for, even if you couldn't stay consistent with it, thank you, bro. So just do it. Just start, bro.
Hey, yes. Just do it indeed.
I don't care what stage you're at. Just do it.
And the last question I have here is just kind of like wrapping up here. Do you have any kind of like inspirational quotes? Like what's that thing that you would tell somebody if you're really trying to inspire them? Or hell, what is the thing that you would tell your young self if you had the opportunity to kind of put a little bit of razzle dazzle on him?
I would tell that nigga, don't listen to anybody. Nigga, you are right. If you think you're wrong, you might be wrong, but be wrong so you can get to the right, my nigga. Don't listen to anybody. Because one thing I constantly think about, or at least don't go for the unsolicited. Obviously, a part of the growth process is just trying to like find those voices that you trust. Like I can tell you right now, just as recent as this year, I found myself trying to put my trust into like people who didn't really have like the best outcome for me in mind. And just because they had a little bit more followers or they had a following, which Don't make me. I can say names right now and get a whole Kendrick Drake debacle going right now, but I ain't gonna do it.
He's not on the Black Coffee. I can't support the. I can't support the heat.
You good? You good? I kept my mouth shut this whole time. I even shouted out some niggas I don't even. Yeah, but regardless, right. I can definitely say like do kind of like going off of the whole like just do it kind of situation. Just trust yourselves. Just do exactly what you want to do. If anybody's telling you, you should probably do it this way, if that ain't somebody you trust, if that ain't somebody you reached out to, inquiring about, asking advice from, don't fucking listen to it. I had my parents telling me, boy, you got to do this. You got to get this job. You got to do that. Yeah, da. And now what? Yeah, I'm grateful for all the years, the younger ages of myself that kept doing it. But I can also look at it retroactively and be like, man, I wish I just stuck to it, stuck to myself, trusted myself, looked more into like these things. So yeah, if I could like tell my younger self or anybody else in the comments anything, don't listen to anybody. Don't listen to anybody but yourself. Trust yourself and make your own thing. Because ultimately, you don't know what you're gonna craft on the other end. Like even with me, like I can tell you right now, last year I quit my job a year from last month, and this story right here, I had an idea of what I wanted it to be. It is going to be something way better now. In Deviant, I started that when I was 13. Now, by the time the end of this series comes, it's going to be way better than I could have ever imagined because I started. And I'm not listening to anybody else I don't trust. I don't listen to nobody. I talk to Surreal, and that's about it. Nah, I talk to a few people.
But no, I get it.
I can't drill that enough. Don't listen. There's a lot of you people are brainwashed by like capitalism anyway. Nobody is more trustworthy than yourself. That's all I'm gonna say. That's my ending quote. Fuck capitalism.
No, hey, type shit. No, I am so. I just have to say, again, Sheezy, it was such a genuine pleasure to have you on today. I feel like high key we besties now. So just letting you know, we like this, we locked in. So expect those friendship texts. Expect the, you know, it's just that's what it is now. As far as I know we've mentioned it a couple different times, but where can we follow you? Plug everything that you want people to know. Where can we find you? Where can we follow you? Where can we read? Let us know.
Yes. So I'm simple. I'm a simple man. It's Sheezy Citie everywhere. Sheezy Citie on Twitter, Sheezy Citie on Facebook. I don't really use Facebook like that. Sheezy Citie on Instagram, Sheezy Citie on TikTok, Threads. Hell, you find me on Threads. Webtoons. You can definitely find Deviant there. Patreon. Hey, if y'all want to support, hell, if y'all want to, there's so many ways you can support. You can check out the website, and again, you can get some merch. Like I think, hold up, let me do a little stuff on.
Yeah, go ahead, stretch your stuff.
I ain't gonna too much now. I ain't gonna show too much.
Don't stand on them.
Come on, listen. I mean, it's the same as both, but you see it. You know what I'm saying? So like, you can support by buying stuff, merchandise from the website. Again, duforthestars.com or Patreon. And if you can't do anything monetarily, just following, commenting, again, reposting stuff, especially if you the type to like to repost. If you're a fan of my stuff, that shit means the absolute world to me. And I think that's everything. I think that's all of them. I'm not hard to find. Listen, I'm not hard to find.
I think after this, you certainly won't be, at least for the people here. We're so man, I am so thankful that I went ahead and reached out. I'm so thankful that I had you today. Also just connecting with your folks in the chat. It has been such a pleasure chatting with them as well. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to wrap this here. I'm just going to take you off the main stage, but I still have a little bit more to chit chat with you afterwards. But again, thank you everybody who watched the Black Coffee Morning Show. We're not quite done yet. I have some announcements and things like that, but this is the last time you'll see Sheezy Citie as of right now. So thank you again for stopping by.
I thank you for inviting me and appreciate everybody in the chats. Love is all love. And I hope I see y'all outside of here too, man. And I hope this ain't the last time I get to talk to you too.
Oh, absolutely not. You know that's not.